Alright, hello? Uh, wait, did I mess up on the chat? Oh, wait, yes. If you guys can hear me, welcome everyone to another early morning live stream. Also, I'm gonna quickly. I think this is just how the effect I put on chat is. Oh, whatever. I'm gonna do this really quick. A band aid, or two band aids. And I'll explain the reason why I'm doing this in just a minute. So I'm gonna. Yeah, sure, that works. Hello, how are you? I'm good. Thank you for asking. So, I guess I'm just gonna be wearing it like. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's fine right there. So, I'm gonna quickly check stream to make sure the sound is working. Yeah, it's good, it's good. Alright. Let me get this closer. Okay. So, to explain the significance of why I'm going to be wearing a band aid, my virtual self will be wearing a band aid. Two band aids, I mean, is because of something that happened last night. And I'm gonna tell you a story. So I have a cat, like a family cat. Uh, Toby, named Toby. And last night I was trying to get him out of my parents' room because he kept going in there and waking him up. So I went in there to help try to get Toby out. And in that attempt to get Toby out, he kind of got me good and cut right through my thumb. I mean, not too terribly bad, but I am wearing a band aid right now because it was roughly bad. So that's the significance of me wearing a band aid, by virtual self wearing a band aid because I got hurt. Okay. Just, I don't know. It was kind of a stretch. I guess I technically didn't need to, but I thought, you know what? Why not? I might actually put the band aid in a better place. Kind of looks dumb where it is. Uh, Nah. No, not the back road. Forget you saw that. Forget you saw that. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna keep it right there. I mean, I guess I could tell a handful of stories about Toby, but I would usually default to more cutesy stories because well, that's all I can think of whenever I think of stories about the cat. So I guess if I do tell, not kill, tell stories about Toby, it would be more of whenever he was a kitten, because those are my most memorable times I had with that cat. Nowadays, Toby is just a grown up. If Toby was an adult, he would be the epitome of what a man child is. Let me just put it that way. Toby's Toby's all grown up, but he acts like a kitten. It's ridiculous. I had a handful. I got a hand. Okay, yep, there it is. I can't go one stream without getting an error from YouTube Studios. Again, probably because I'm using a MacBook and not something that can actually run stream properly. But anyways, like I was saying, I had a handful of pets growing up. I had dogs, I had cats, I had fish. And I'm gonna tell you all of them, the ones that I can remember, anyways, as a story. So we're gonna let me think. I don't know if it was the first pet we ever had. I think we had another dog, but I think the one we got after that one, the one that I can remember. I don't remember. Good joke, good joke. Infuriating to get scratched. Yes, indeed, indeed. Also, I just realized the size of the band aid. There we go. Okay, sorry. Back to the stories. So I don't remember much about the little, I think it was, no, not a bulldog. What am I thinking? I forgot what breed it was, but it was a, a rough dog. That pun was not intentional. I did not mean to put pun with dog joke. Okay, whatever. I did. So that dog did go really rough. He was mean. That dog was just mean, and it was a small. Its fur was white. I don't remember what breed it was. That's why I'm sort of describing it like that. I don't really remember much besides that dog was really mean. After that dog, I think that's whenever we got either one or two, one of the two cats. So one of the cats we got was called Daisy. And I have one story to tell about it. And I think after Daisy, that's whenever we got another cat, Freckles. When you remember you use YouTube theater mode, so there's always black bars on the side in every video. Well, speaking of black bars, I think I've already said this, but I'm glad I got rid of the black bars. If you weren't watching on the theater mode, the black bars are gone. Hooray! But anyways, uh, let me actually quickly see if my tea is good, then I'll try to get back to my story. That is hot. All right. So I think I'm just gonna tell the story about Daisy first because I think in chronicle order of the pets I got, it was Daisy then Freckles. So Daisy, one of the main memories I have with her, because for some reason my child brain thought it made sense. We had this in our backyard. We got this inflatable pool, like a very small inflatable pool, the size that small 5-year-old, 7, 8-year-old would play in. So we filled it up with water, and I had my little floaties on. And I have the memory of seeing Daisy just walking around the backyard. I picked up Daisy, and for some reason I was like, this makes perfect sense. And I slowly started edging Daisy downwards into the pool of water. I don't remember if I got scratched in the face, but I think that's what happened. Because Daisy, her foot just barely touched the water, sprung out of my hands. It felt like something hurt my face, and then I saw Daisy land on her feet on the ground and take off running. And that's really the only story I have about Daisy because that's the only one I remember. It was sad and stupid, but I was a kid, and for some reason, even though whenever growing up watching certain shows in certain networks on TV, you're like, oh, I know that cats don't like water. Which, okay, I want to say something. Talking about Freckles, I could guarantee you that not all pets are like that. So, let's talk about Freckles. I guess you see what you did wrong now. Yes, I very much I did. So the next pet in the line of pets that I had was a cat named Freckles. Again, I forgot the breed, but for Freckles, we got her when she was a kitten, and then just boring stuff really just grew up, uh, played with her. But one of the most fond memories that I have with Freckles is kind of boring, so I'm going to tell a more interesting story. So there was one day whenever it was raining, and we for some reason, I don't know why, we opened the door just to look at the rain. I don't we were kids. So we opened the door to look at the rain. Freckles bolts out the door. We were like, no, we gotta get her back. We gotta go get her. And we were all panicking. And little did we know what was about to transpire. Freckles did not mind the rain whatsoever. She was jumping at the rain to drink it. Like she would fling herself in the air. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen a cat do. She jumped so high, and it was the weirdest thing because at that point I was a little older to understand cats don't like water. But that, Why? I don't know. That's just what Freckles did. For some reason, on that one day specifically, it's the last few times it rains, we never. Why did your cat go out? Wait, I don't know. I have no idea. That was the one day I realized maybe not all pets are the same. Some cats like because I probably there is one memory I have of Freckles where I was drawing Bath and Freckles accidentally slipped into the water and that's sort of where my memory goes fuzzy. I don't remember if it was either she jumped out in a panic or she was just swimming in it like, "Oh, I'm okay." Because I vaguely remember both things being true, so it might have been two separate times. I could be wrong though, but that one time definitely Freckles did jump outside eating rain for some reason. So one of the other stories I have to tell of Freckles. So one time we took Freckles with us because one of our only family members that we had to keep Freckles while we were going away. This is whenever I was like 9, 8 years old, I think. To go to this camp. Uh, and we brought a trailer, so you could bring trailers. If parents wanted to bring like small campers, I said trailers, small campers or whatever, then they could stay on the campsite to hang around and to go watch events and stuff. My older brother and my older sister, they were in dorms, being a part of the event. I wasn't. I sort of participated in the camp in things that they were doing, but for the majority of the time, I would stay in the camper with my parents. So we went to this camp, and we decided. Excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. Uh, Maybe not. Okay. So we decided to bring Freckles with us because we didn't have the only family member that we could have gotten was allergic to cats. So we decided that we would bring Freckles with us. So we brought Freckles with us on our trip, and she stayed in the camper with me and my parents. And one day, whenever my older brother and my older sister came by the camper to just hang out, they opened the door. Freckles ran out. And that was very terrifying. I remember we were all panicked. We were all so extremely worried. We didn't know where she was. And after minutes, I think close to an hour searching for her, we all got back in the camper. We just sat down on couches in that booth that's like table and two couches aside from each other. We were all sad and sort of a little bit to the point of crying and whining. And then literally we were hearing scratching noises and we're like, what is that? We looked behind. It was coming from behind the couch in the camper. Freckles was hiding behind the couch in our camper. So we were like, okay, close the door. Mission complete, I guess. Because the last time we saw Freckles, she bolted out the door. We were afraid that we were going to just never see her again. And then 40 minutes to an hour later, we come back in. Freckles is just in the camper. I don't know what happened in between, but we got her back. Also, I think I'm hiccuping. I'm allergic to cats. Aww. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if I'm allergic to any pets. The only real pets that I've had. You got a ninja cat right there. Yeah, Freckles is now gone, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Freckles. She was probably the most memorable pet I had because of all the crazy things she did, like jumping in the air to eat the rain for some reason and almost getting lost at camp. But right now we have a family cat, Toby, and even though he's a bit of a man-child in cat form and pretty much a brat, I love him. He's a good cat. I enjoy hanging out with him. He enjoys snuggling in the morning, and then for the rest of the day, he likes scratching people. But he's a good family cat. I love him. So another pet story that I have. So the only pets that I've really had was dogs, cats, and fish. And the next one is a fish. And then the only other pet we got after the fish. Well, technically there is one more, and I guess I could talk about that. So I forgot, was it a Japanese fighting fish? I don't remember. I think it was somewhere along that line of fish that I got for Christmas. And I named him Rusty because he was a bit of an orange fading into a darker blue color. So I named him Rusty. And Rusty, even though it seems like it's a fish, you can't really have that much fun with it. Rusty lived for almost 2 to 3 years. And that's insane because most of the fish that we had usually died in like a few days, few weeks, or even lasted maybe a month. Rusty was the only fish because, so for Christmas, my sister also got the same breed of fish. And hers was white into a lighter blue. And her fish died, and she named him Prince. Prince died like a few days, a week, and then she got another one, and I don't remember what she named that one. That one died in just a few days. But my little fish, nope. Rusty lived for a good 2 to 3 years, and even though I felt a little bad because I didn't have a lot of emotion when Rusty died. So how I found out Rusty died, one morning I woke up and I woke up and I did Rusty's morning breakfast food, and he wasn't moving. He wasn't moving towards the food, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if he's still sleeping." So I'll check on him when I get back. I sort of told my mom because I sort of alluded to the idea that he was already dead. So she was like, "Yeah, you check on him whenever you get back from school. If he's dead, then yeah." So I went to school, came back, and unfortunately his food was still there. Rusty was in the same place, but this time he was sort of turning a little bit more with no motion. And eventually we did a little bit more, and yeah, he Rusty was dead, which was unfortunate. And even though Rusty was a fish, and some people you may not think, again, you couldn't have too much fun with a fish, Rusty was one of my favorite pets growing up because as a kid, I did hung out with Rusty a lot, and I enjoyed hanging out with him. Yeah, so I feel a little bit bad that I wasn't as emotional whenever Rusty died, but oh well. So what's this? Wow, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. The longest fish live was 4 months. Yeah, Rusty lived a good 1 to 2, almost 3 years. Or what did I say? 1 to 2. He definitely did live into his mid 2 years, I'm pretty sure. Because he definitely lived 1 year, I can tell you that. So I guess Rusty was kind of an old fish, which was interesting. So the next pet was one that we didn't have for a long time. But it's funny. So the next animal we got was because my sister wanted a pet. So we talked to this woman online, and she sold us a pet, a dog, and my favorite breed, a husky. I love huskies. Ever since I watched Airbud Snow Buddies, I loved huskies, specifically Alaskan huskies, because if you've ever watched a Snow Buddies, the little dog that the buddies meet is a puppy Alaskan husky called Shasta. And ever since that day, I loved Alaskan Huskies. Huskies are still my favorite breed to this day. And so we got an Alaskan Husky. No, I'm sorry, we didn't get an Alaskan Husky. We got a Husky. It was a different breed. For those of you who don't know, Alaskan Huskies are built for the cold. It isn't really meant for warmer climates. So it wasn't an Alaskan Husky. But we did get a Husky. So we got a Husky. Her name was I was about to say Kara. That would be the name of an Undertale character. I know it started with a K. Kyra. That was her name. So her name was Kyra. We set up a little fence, but we didn't have her for very long because it's gotten a lot better now. Like when just a few weeks ago, I went to a friend's house and they have a handful of dogs, and I wasn't afraid of them, but back during the time whenever we got Kyra, I had sort of a fear of dogs. I don't know where it came from because growing up, I love dogs, and I have this memory as a kid. Um, One of my dad's sister, my aunt, she had this really big dog, and I loved going into. I forgot what his name was. I forgot what breed it was, but I have the memory of going into that pen and just rolling all over the floor. The dog was just all over me, playing with me. It was a really interesting memory, but for some reason, at that point in time, during the time we got Kyra, I was afraid of dogs for some reason. And it was really hard for me to sort of be out of my room during that time. So we contacted the lady and we had to return Kyra. So Kyra stayed with us for like a few days, not even a week, which is unfortunate because Huskies were my favorite breed, and that's the breed that Kyra was. So after Kyra, my sister wanted a different pet and she couldn't have a dog. So she got with a baby cat. His first name was Little Bit because we got him as a kitten, and then changed his name to Tobias, nickname Toby, and that's the cat we have now. And I guess I can tell a few Toby stories, even though they're not really that interesting. The most interesting stories I could tell you about Toby would be the time he scratched me last night, which I've already talked about, and his weird obsession with Nerf bullets for some reason. Let me try to take a sip of my tea so it doesn't get cold. Now that's what I'm talking about. All right. So, whenever during the time Toby was a baby, there were two times that were my favorite times. Um, I was hanging out with Toby. Both times when he was a kitten. So the first time was I was sitting in the living room watching some Marvel released show. I don't remember what it was, but I remember it was sort of I didn't like it because the plot was hard to follow. It wasn't Agents of Shield. I don't remember what it was. It was some new show they had released at the time, new Marvel show. I think it was The Runaways. I don't remember, but for some reason the plot was hard for me to follow, so I didn't really enjoy the show that much. But during the time I was sitting in the living room watching it, and Toby, like I said, was just a kitten at this time. He got in my lap and he fell asleep. And that was the first time I've ever had like an animal fall asleep on my lap. And it was so cute and I loved it. My heart was just melting away. And he was a kitten, so he sort of sat like in between. So I was sitting on the floor with my legs crisscrossed, and Toby got into like the area which it was crisscrossed and snuggled up to sort of like get warm, and it was so cute. And it was funny because at the time I was sort of turned away from the direction the TV was whenever I was watching the show. So I was like, "Oh, I want to move, but I don't want to wake up Toby." So I was sort of panicking, but my dad was in the kitchen and he said, "It's okay, you can pick him up." So I was like, "Okay, I'll try. I don't want to wake him up." So I got my hands under him and I slowly picked him up. He woke up a little bit. I turned myself to face the TV so I could continue watching the show, and I gently put him back down. He went back to sleep, which I was really happy about because I was afraid of waking him up. So that was one time. Another time was there was something that was going on in the living room. This wasn't during the time our floor was we're getting new carpeting, new flooring. I mean, I don't remember what was going on in the living room. I think it was just needed to keep him busy during the time. So I brought Toby up to my room and I just put him on the bed. He was still a kitten at this time. I turned on the TV in my room to watch something and just started playing around with Toby. I put my hand underneath the cover of my bed and just moving around. And Toby would go crazy. To this day, he still goes crazy for that. And just chasing around my hand, moving around. And so I worn him out a little bit playing around, and I got back. This time my lap was like the lower half of my body was underneath the covers, and I sort of helped Toby because he couldn't tell with my legs underneath the cover. So I sort of directed Toby, and he found my lap. He got back into it, and he snuggled up again in the same similar position to how we did before in the living room. And he was just snuggling down, and I kept my arms around him for warmth, and he was just sleeping, and it was so nice, and I was just there watching TV. It was funny because now that I'm looking back, it's funny how similar the circumstances was. In the living room I was watching TV, in my room I was watching TV, and in both situations he was in my lap snuggling sleeping. I never realized how similar the situations were until I looked back. But yeah, those are the two memories that I look back fondly on Toby. Even though nowadays you couldn't sort of get that same experience. I mean, in the morning, Toby does sort of snuggle. He's in a much more snuggly mood in the morning. So if you sit down in a chair and he sees you, he'll probably jump up on your lap and purr a little bit while you pet him. Um, yeah, but you can't really get those experiences with Toby anymore. But I cherish the times I hung out with him as a kitten. There were some of my favorites with Toby. Sounds nice. The experience was nice. I mean, even though you don't have, like you said, you're allergic to cats. I had a similar experience with a dog. I don't remember. That would scare me? What do you mean that would scare you? It's just a cat. Wait, do you mean like the stories I was talking about as a kitten, or whenever Toby's like more uh grown? I'm guessing either. Uh so you said you're allergic to cats. It's okay if you're allergic to cats and still want that experience, because with dogs, I had a similar experience with a dog, but at the time I was too young to really remember it. I don't remember. It wasn't my aunt's dog. I think it was one we owned before, because the only memory I have is looking down while this puppy was in my lap, and that's it. I don't really have any movements. It's like if you take a screenshot of like a YouTube video and that moment is just as a picture. That's sort of what my memory is like. I just have that one frame in my head of that puppy in my lap, and I don't remember anything about it or what it was or if we even owned it. So you can still have that experience with puppies and dogs. Oh no, I gotta go plug up my laptop. Hold on. Ouch, my finger. Take another sip of my tea. I wanted to make. This was one of the first part of the podcast videos I ever wanted to make, and I mentioned that in the first ever LTA episode that I ever made, which was Getting Mad or Angry. Originally, I was supposed to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I wanted to talk about my really weird, once in a while obsession I have with Yu-Gi-Oh! So, one random month, every year, this happens, one random month out of the year, I get really into Yu-Gi-Oh! One random month out of the year. And I can tell you right now, this year is that year. I mean, this month is that month. And one of my... Well, there's two places I go to do it. So, the first place I go to is a free online Yu-Gi-Oh! Place called Yu-Gi-Oh! Nexus. And originally, whenever I had a Windows laptop, I downloaded Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it was called Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I think. And I did enjoy using that one much more than I did with Nexus. But Nexus is still a good website to use if you wanted to play some online Yu-Gi-Oh! Games and make some decks. But one of the ones that I most recently played on, and I enjoy, is actually from Roblox. Roblox, the new Dimension game made by the same Dimension. You know Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links? Oh yeah, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. The only thing, so I don't really have that much of a problem with Duel Links. I have played it a lot before, but the thing is, I understand it's an iOS game, so you would play on the go with quick rounds, so you would lower in similar styles to how the original show was 4,000 life points instead of 8,000 life points. You have, you lose your field. Well, technically you do lose the spot on the zone where the field spell would go, but you have 3 monster zones, 3 spell and trap card zones. So you lose a lot of the good stuff you would get from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like more spaces and more life points. Actually, can we talk about the progression of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games via Roblox? I think it's really interesting. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! In Roblox ever since the first original Yu-Gi-Oh! Roblox game. I think it was called Central Park or something. And there were no animations. There wasn't any like big things like that. It was just so it was funny because during this day of Roblox, it's much different than how it is now. That was more advanced. It was very basic, and the only places I think in the older version, literally the only places that you could duel in was the registered spots that were positioned all around the city. There were other places, and it was this map was supposed to be reminiscent to the original Yu-Gi-Oh show. So Central Park was supposed to be like Domino City, and there was an aquarium similar to the aquarium that the fisherman, I forgot his name, and I forgot. It was Yugi's friend, blonde orange hair guy who uses the red eyes. He played in the tournament against the fisherman in the aquarium. There was that map. There was a park, which I don't really understand because I don't remember seeing a park in the show. Maybe there was, and I just wasn't paying attention. And then there was a museum, similar in fashion to whenever Merrick's sister went to America. So it was supposed to be reminiscent to the original show, and for its time, it was actually really good. But it was so funny how bad it was because if you play Yu-Gi-Oh games that are on Roblox out right now, they're more advanced. Like if you hover over a card, it gives you the information of the card, its effects, its level, everything on the side. But back then, in the very first Yu-Gi-Oh Roblox game that was out, they didn't give you any of that. You would have to look at that off screen. So every time we would use anything, spells, traps, monsters, if we used literally anything, we had to basically zoom in on the card that we placed on the field and try to make out what the blurry words on it was and take our best guess of what the effects was and just use it like that. That was how we played Yu-Gi-Oh back then. And it was so funny how stupid it was because a lot of the cards was a bit more clearer, but a lot of them were JPEGs of a really blurry quality, so it was almost impossible to tell what the words were. So after that, the next Yu-Gi-Oh game that I think was in the same range, and by in the same range I mean they still didn't have the effects on the side whenever you hover over a card. It was in the general same style. You only get to duel in places that they regimented for you, that you would go to those specific places. Those are the only places you can duel in, which was Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy, which self-explanatory. It's reminiscent to Duel Academy from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. That one I did enjoy at the time. That one I did enjoy more than City. So you could purchase more specific cards and everything. I'm back again, and about time too. Hey, welcome. We're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, Roblox Yu-Gi-Oh to be specific. So there wasn't really much to say about Roblox Yu-Gi-Oh GX Duel Academy because it was in similar style to City. The mechanics of it, anyways. I'm pretty sure they were made by the same creators, so they had similar ways of operating and map design. So, anyways, after that, I thought I was never actually gonna get any like good Yu-Gi-Oh games. I thought those were the only ones because I couldn't think of a way that they could possibly improve a Roblox Yu-Gi-Oh game. But little did I know how much fun I was gonna have with. I don't know if it was the same people. I didn't check because those servers, the originals, the Yu-Gi-Oh Central Square or whatever it was called back then, and Yu-Gi-Oh GX Duel Academy, those on Roblox aren't up anymore. They were taken down. So I don't know if they were made by the same creators or if these are different people. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Dimension Duels was the next line in the Roblox Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, and that one was so much better. They had lots of cool effects for summoning XC Synchro Fusion monsters. Uh, and the map design was really good, and we actually found a cheat. I mean, a little thing that the creators did where you can. I don't know if this was purposeful or if you weren't supposed to know about it, but I was friends with one of these guys who would always play on Roblox, and I would play with him. So he showed me this little glitch or a little clipping thing you can do that gets you outside of the borders and behind if you go in the back of the border of the city that you weren't supposed to go to. The creators put a giant, it was an Xyz monster. I don't remember its full name, but it was something Toad, and there was a description underneath that says "All hail the Toad." It was ridiculous. And so it was a really much better Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was more than I was ever going to expect from a Roblox game. But it was an amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. And they implemented things like action duels, which was really fun. And I enjoyed playing that for a long time. But unfortunately, they ended up closing down for like a year, 2 years, I think. Probably almost 3 years. I think the original reason why is because I heard from a friend that the reason was because fear of copyright, so they had ended up shutting down. But I don't know if that was the case, but I think it was more for rebooting because now, well, okay, before the new well, the original server was called Dimension Duels. The new one that they made, because it is made by the same people, and I don't remember the name, but if you go into the coffee shop, it's Dimension something. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Dimension something. I'll probably pull it up on stream. But in the cafe, they have pictures of that server because I didn't remember the name of who made that original Dual Dimension server, but it is made by the same people. So if you go into the cafe in the main city place and you go in, they have a bunch of pictures on the wall, and one picture is from that game. So I figured it was from the same creators. I could be wrong though. But anyways, that wasn't actually the next Yu-Gi-Oh game in the line of Roblox Yu-Gi-Oh games. The next one was Academy Yu-Gi-Oh Academy or Advanced Academy, something like that. And it was a slightly similar playstyle to how I think it was in the same line of playstyle as how Dual Dimensions worked. It was a much smaller map in scale. It was at the GX Academy, a Yu-Gi-Oh Academy. It was much smaller. It was sort of, I mean, the effects were good, and you can read the effects on the side, and it worked good. It worked fine. I played on it a lot. But I think a few months after that released, the new Dimension Duels, it isn't called Dimension Duels, that's just how I call it because I don't remember the name. It was Dimension something battle, Yu-Gi-Oh! Something Dimension. That one, and it was so much better than that Academy server, and that's the one that I'm playing on, that I play on now, that I join every once in a while. It's really fun. I have so much fun with it. And I play on it recently with a bunch of my friends. The effects are really good. The map is so much bigger. So I would like to think that the original creators of Dimension Duels, if they indeed did make this new Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel server, that the reason why they shut down their original Dual Dimension server was for the sake of sort of in a way rebooting to make this bigger and better map. Roblox improved, but it got more toxic. I do agree with you for the reason of I only ever play Roblox with my friends. I never hang out with people on Roblox or friend anyone via Roblox. So I only hang out with friends I know personally because they're not toxic because they don't have an obsession with Roblox. Did you know that a Hat in Time rush level, the owls are actually the same entity as the ones that attack you are in the final level, and the Death Wish candle counts them the same entity? Really? Interesting. You really play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh games on Roblox. I play a lot of Pokemon games on Roblox. What was I think it was there was one Pokemon. I don't know if it's up right now. A Pokemon game on Roblox, Pokemon Brick Bronze. I don't remember if it was that one or if it was another one that got shut down because indeed for copyright reasons. Um Either one got taken down, but I played those before, and I don't know if you played Roblox during this time, but there was another old Pokemon game that existed back then in Roblox before good effects even existed for the Roblox Studio Engine. So, Brick Bronze? Yeah, I thought so. So, one of the Pokemon games I played on Roblox way before any of these other actually good Pokemon games existed was the map was reminiscent to I'm pretty sure it was reminiscent to the first games Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Green. It was a map reminiscent to that. However, they didn't have any cool battle effects or anything. How you battle people is they made a model, a very a poorly made model of the Pokemons you were using, and you can evolve them and whatnot. So you could battle. The map would take you to like sort of an off. You couldn't move whenever you were on it, but you would be taken to a small platform with the Pokeball on the ground, whatever, and you would throw out your 3D renders of terrible Pokemon. And how they fight is they run up to each other, they smack each other in the face, and you can click the moves they do on the side, tackle, whatever, and you don't take turns, you just start mashing. So, for its time, I liked it, but looking back on it now and understanding how far Pokemon games on Roblox have come, that was really sad and poorly made. Pokemon Let's Go to Country. Court, my bad. I played Pokemon Legends on Roblox. I haven't actually looked up a lot of the new Pokemon games that are on Roblox. More of the Yu-Gi-Oh side, because this is the month where I get obsessed over Yu-Gi-Oh. So I'll play more into Yu-Gi-Oh this month. Ooh, okay. We could talk about more about, I guess, terrible Roblox games, I guess, if I wanted to. Because there was, I don't know if any of you stuck around, because Roblox was, its original graphics. I was around Roblox. I mean, obviously, I didn't play Roblox during the time of its creation, but I was playing Roblox during the early days of its early graphics, where the ground looks like rip-off Lego bricks, and there wasn't any. This is around the time when tickets were still allowed. I don't know. I don't know if you guys know what tickets are, but I was around when tickets still existed. One of the original games I played that is very much an original that still exists to this day, which I'm surprised by. It survived from the very beginning that I was there all the way to now, which was Natural Disaster. That game survived. I played the original Natural Disaster and the original Murder Mystery that was on Roblox. I played all these original games, and now looking at Roblox now, seeing all the changes and the reboots for these games that they have, it's ridiculous. There's so much. Because now they have games like, Murder 2. It was weird because they had the original Murder Mystery game for Roblox, and then the second one they had was like a reboot called a Madness Murder Mystery or something, and then they made Murder 2, which was a newer version made by someone else. What was that? Donkey Kong lore stream. I'm dedicating that not to an early morning stream so I can actually focus on what I say. So I'll let you know when that comes up. Tickets were fun. Yeah, and the funny thing is, during the time whenever tickets were out, I didn't know. I was like, I'm good with the original looking character. I didn't realize I could use tickets. And I was really sad when tickets. It's true. You don't realize what you're missing until it's gone. And I don't know if any of you guys went to it, but there was a server they made during the time tickets were removed. It was the ticket what was it called? Funeral server. And it was really popular. It isn't now, but it was really popular during the time tickets had been removed, and I was just there, was like, I wanted to look cool because, again, during the time, I didn't know that you could use tickets to buy stuff. And whenever I did realize it, I was like, I'm good with the original guy. Have you played Flee the Facility? I think I have. That title is familiar. There were a handful. Ooh, actually, I want to look it up on my phone. Or, you know what? Whatever. I could probably look it up on stream. Maybe. I hope nothing crashes. I'm going to try to look up Roblox to show you guys some of my favorite games. Do you guys ever favorite games on Roblox? I feel like that was a phenomenon that I didn't even know existed. Yeah, the chat's sort of wigging out, but that's okay. Hopefully. Actually, I say that. Please do not crash. Please, no, please don't crash. I'm getting issues from YouTube Studios. No, don't crash. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm getting some issues. Alright, I'm gonna switch to show you guys. Oh, please don't crash. Please don't crash. Okay, the thing is still going. I don't know if it's gonna be laggy. So, oh, the chat looks terrible. I put it up on the screen because I was like, it'll be fine. It looks bad. I'll... Well, whatever. I'll just... Nah, because you guys won't be able to see it. I'll just take it off the screen. I'll figure out something I could do with it later, but for now I'm just going to take it off screen. So, one of... A really good zombie survival game is Those Who Remain. I haven't actually played some of its... Oh, Cargo? Cargo! I don't know if that's new. It's been a while since I actually played this game. So if you want to play a good zombie survival, I would recommend Those Who Remain. It's a really good zombie survival game. There was another zombie game that I meant to save because it was really good. Again, I feel like saving is a new phenomenon, which I know it isn't. Modern Academy. Yu-Gi-Oh! Modern Academy. That's what it was called. Oh, this one. I love this one. So, this game... What? We're getting a sequel to that Smash Ultimate stream. So basically, to explain what's gonna go down in a few months, I'll hopefully get a good gaming setup because I cannot run gaming as I've tested out on a final last gaming stream. I tested it out and it does not work. So I'm gonna wait in a few months to whenever I get a good gaming setup. So I'll be able to run these things. So gaming related stuff live on stream will no longer be happening until I get that gaming setup, which again is going to take place in a few months. So it's going to be a bit of a wait, but I promise gaming live streams will eventually come in the future. So I'm gonna... Okay, here's another with that quality. It'll be a much better quality. Oh, whenever I get my new one. So here is a good game that I had lots of fun with playing when I first found it. It is called SCP Breach. I don't know if this R is a typo or not. This game is really fun to play. Just by looking at the pictures, you wouldn't think it would be too high of quality. But this is a really, really good game. So basically the goal is you get assigned to different teams. So you could either be an SCP, you could be those are the only ones. You could be the inmates, you could be the workers, and depending on what team you are, you have a different goal in whichever team completes, whatever. And there are a lot of teams. But there are some that more align with others, like the workers who work there. Your goal is just to escape the facility. And the people who breach into the facility, who's supposed to come and rescue you, their job is to escort you to safety. And once they escort everyone to safety, well, quote unquote, your team wins. But I feel like it's kind of weird because even though it seems like the workers are of their own team, but really you're playing for the team of the people who come in and escort you. Whatever. I don't know. I just think that's weird. But this game... Oh no. Sorry. This game is really good. And I might jump on that sometime to play that, because that was lots of fun. Let's see. Oh, this is still in... Wait a minute. For some reason, I have... Well, whatever. So there are a few games here that are in... Oh, this one. I really love this one. Hold on. This is one that I played so much, and I don't know if I have it on this... What's wrong with flamingos? Well, I mean, look at them. Look at their weird long necks. Okay, no, I'm sorry. So this is one game I definitely want to show you guys. This game is called Entry Point. I love this game. I play this with a bunch of people. So, Entry Point, I played it during the time it was in its beta. It was so good, dude. And I was so excited for its full release. This is one game on Roblox that I followed its progress. It's so much fun. So, the point of Entry Point is you get to choose a class, and you get to be in like a group of 4 or less with other people. I'm getting hiccups. So the point of the game is you're playing like a story mode, which technically you could go to PvP or free play. So your goal is to complete different missions that they give you, and you can be different classes like hacker, bounty hunter. You could be, and every role gives you a more special perk. Like if you're a hacker, you have more ability, and they give you tools to hack things that you would originally needed, like key cards, in order to get into these places. They give you a hacking tool to use, and you can use computers and hack into stuff a lot faster than you would be able to do if you weren't a hacker. and I chose the hacker class as my main. Another one is an engineer, which lets you create stuff like explosives, and you can build things that require you to build stuff a lot faster. Entry point is so much fun. I played it with a group of people. Dude, it is so much fun. And it's cool because you could, I mean, if it's reminiscent in a way to Hitman, because you could do things like knock people out, take their clothes. It's a lot of fun. There are two games. I'm pretty sure you guys know what Clue is. So there's a game called Clue Row, which is basically just Roblox Clue. It's right now it's an alpha, and literally no one's playing it. There are two games in why is this here? I didn't like that game. Okay, so it's funny because based on the pictures of this game, you wouldn't think it was a good game. Well, I mean, the game is an alpha, so it's expected to go under many, many different changes. So nothing here is going to look good, but I played it and I had so much fun with it, which is this game, Zeppelin Wars. This game, surprisingly, is a lot of fun. So the basic gist is you have two different teams. You have the pirates, you have law enforcement, and your goal is just to shoot down the other balloon. So if you can be pilots, crewmates, or you can get into the pilot team and be pilot. Every time I played this game, I've always been piloting the Zeppelin, because I feel like I'm really good at that. So you could go wherever you want with the Zeppelin. It's crazy. So if you're a pilot, well, if you're a pilot, I think you can pilot the planes. And there's two different planes. You can have a bomber, you can have like a fighter. If you're a crew, you can man the ship's gun systems. And as you get certain things depending on what class you get, like if you are a crew, you get an additional weapon that's a net launcher that is more effective on planes. So if you shoot it at a plane, it deals a lot of damage, or it takes it down instantly. I don't remember, but it is hard to use it because it has a weird arc to it. So even though this game isn't of high graphic quality, it is still a really, really fun game. I'm gonna check YouTube Studios to make sure we're still running. An error. That's not fun. All right. I'm gonna show you guys this. So I don't know if any. I know a friend of mine who got into doing like a Roblox. Well, and I sort of did too. Roblox groups, like specifically groups for other games. So one of my friends, he got into an Air Force Roblox group. And if you've ever been in a Roblox group before, which I have two of them in the past, you would understand how kind of strict they are. Groups work differently. With groups, you have to... What? Error has occurred. Are you messing with me? Don't do that, man. You're freaking me out. So, with Roblox groups, you have to more talk to people, and you have to... Again, it's a group. So, for games, as an example, if you've never been a part of a Roblox group before... There was, I don't know if the server is still up, but there's, I know there's this one game on Roblox that's just a FNAF roleplay with multiplayer. Yeah, I've played a lot of FNAF games, so I probably know which one you're talking about. So, one of the group games that I, was originally a part of, one of my cousins play most the games you said. Oh, really? So, that's interesting. So... one of the groups that I was a part of originally in the past was a City 17 group. I was part of their evil law enforcement, which was, if I don't know if any of you know what City 17 is, how it's related. So basically, I was a part of the law enforcement of the border control and everything. I was a guard asking them for papers and whatnot. Not papers, please. That's a whole different situation. So that was the first group I was a part of, and with that group, I've only been to their basic training once. During the whole time, I've only been a part of one of their basic training. Their basic training is a part of an outside server connected with, obviously, City 17, but it was an outside server. So if you were a part of the group as the law enforcement, you would go to this group for a special practice and training, and if you succeeded, you'd go up a rank. If you didn't, you stayed at your rank. And there was another group that I had joined after that, a few months or a year later after I picked up Roblox again. which was this one. Sith Temple on Yavin. And I'm really salty, and I'll get to that in a minute. These groups, these Star Wars groups, are actually really cool. Now, technically, the first Star Wars group that I've joined was the Sith Temple on Morabad. Technically, Yavin wasn't the first one. And I'm going to say this for once. I don't like the new construction that the map Yavin, the Sith Temple Yavin has gone under. I would much rather prefer how it was before. So, anyways. So, for the Sith temples, there's the Jedi Temple. I think the Jedi Temple group is more famous than the Sith Temple. But I'm someone who really loves Sith lore over Jedi lore, so I do choose Sith over Jedi. So what's really cool about this game is with their groups, you can go under Acolyte training and obviously rank up, but you can do tryouts. They give tryouts for being a part of certain groups, and so I'm not going to explain all the groups, but one of the two, there was I wanted to be a part of one of these two groups, whichever one I can get in first. One of them was the Sith Reavers. I think that's how you pronounce it, Sith Reavers. And the Sith Reavers, I think all of these are reminiscent to things of the times of the Old Republic, I think, or the Eternal Empire, back whenever the Old Republic was around. So the Sith Reavers, that was disgusting, I'm sorry. The Sith Reavers are personal Sith assassins, and they focus more on lightsaber fighting than they do with using the Force. So to try out to be a Sith Reaver, they do a tryout to see how good your lightsaber, and you wouldn't think that this game had good lightsaber battle, but you would be so wrong. You can block, you can deflect. It is much more, describing it like that doesn't seem like all that much, but it is much more advanced than you would think. And I learned so much more Sith lore from these servers, because a lot of the questions for the Acolyte training and everything are questions like they make you recite the Sith code. They say it and then they want you to repeat it word for word, line for line. If you do it wrong, they give you a strike, 3 strikes, and you're out of the training. And so a small funny story. Oh yeah, sorry. Let me get back to what I was saying before, the thing that I was salty about before I get into that. So I either wanted to be a Sith Reaver, which was a personal Sith assassin to the Emperor, or I wanted to be a Dark Honor Guard. The Dark Honor Guards were protectors of the Sith Temple. They make sure no acolytes, anyone who isn't permitted to leave the temple, to stay out of the temple, and forces anyone who tries to get into the temple to kill them. Don't let them get into the temple. Oh, gotta check stream to make sure everything's going right. And so I wanted to be either a Dark Honor Guard or a Sith Reaver. And Dark Honor Guards, if the Emperor is around on the server, then the Dark Honor Guard's job is to protect, to be around, to serve as personal bodyguards to the Emperor. And I had my chance. I'll tell you what, I had my chance. I was going to be a part of the Dark Honor Guards. We were going through all this training, and I've gone through 3 to 4 Dark Honor Guard trainings. One of the Dark Honor Guard trainings I was on the Sith Temple of Morabad, which I think was their first Sith Temple server. So I went on there, I did their training, and I didn't understand how it worked the first time, so it was understandable that I didn't get to be a Dark Honor Guard during that time, so I accepted that. The second time was on Yavin. And I think also I was sort of more getting the hang of it, but I didn't understand it, so I still failed it. The third time, I did as much research on the Dark Honor Guards as I could, and then they hosted another Dark Honor Guard tryouts. So I went to the tryouts with like 3 or 4 other people, and we tried out, and I think only one person didn't pass, but it wasn't me. I did pass the initial training. They showed us all the things they got in. I was good enough, and I was so excited because Dark Honor Guard was like my dream job. So I was so excited. They were talking like what the group does, different formations for protecting the Emperor. So they give you all these things to do, and then the last thing they give you a task to do is not Discord. So if you know how groups work, in the specific groups, they have different groups and different people join those groups. Like if you wanted to be a part of the Dark Honor Guards, you would join their group, and that group has private chat for that group specifically. Your time might get cut short. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Well, it's okay if you leave early. It's already over an hour, so I'll probably end as soon as I'm finished with these Star Wars stories. So I hope you can stick around until the end, because it's pretty much almost over. So the Dark Honor Guard, the last thing they tell you to do is they get you into the Dark Honor Guard group specifically, and they tell you to type something in the chat in the group. So everyone does that. I do that. They see everyone. They said, okay, okay, that's good, that's good. All right. And then the next thing they tell you to do, they make you type something specific in the chat, and we all did it. I did it, and I even got a testimonial from someone else who was like an overseer for the Dark Honor Guard group. Even they said that they saw my message in the group, but for some reason, the person who was hosting the tryouts was like, "Yeah, I don't see it. I guess you can't be a part of it," and he cut me out of the tryout. I was literally, and I'm still salty about this to this day, I was so close. I was so close. All I had to do was pass this literal one stupid explanation of how the chat in the group works. And technically, I did figure it out because another guy who was overseer of said group even said that I did what he asked me to do, but he still cut me short for some reason. And I'm still really salty about that to this day. That was so annoying. So I'm still kind of salty about that. So I refuse. So that's sort of why I gave up doing Sith Temple group servers because I was really salty about that. I don't know if I'll ever do another. I mean, I joined the group again just because. I mean, I like them. I like the server. They have cool events every once in a while. But another thing I want to talk about related to the Sith Temple server. What was it on? Oh yeah. So don't mean to cut you off, but last month I completed my living national dex in Pokemon. Hey, don't be mean in the chat, unless you're being sarcastic, in which case, yeah. I'm sorry, man. Which, I'm gonna get back to the talking about Sith Temple in just a bit. I want to quickly talk about something related to what you said about the Pokedex. So the new Pokemon game that either it's out or it's yet to be released. I wasn't paying attention. But one of the new Pokemon games that's like a really cool, the way it was described to me was a Breath of the Wild style Pokemon game where it's in a 3D environment during the days of one of the old regions, and you had to develop their national dex. So you would go around catching Pokemon, and you use Pokemon, go around the place, and it's your job. And it was set in a much older times where this national dex hasn't been made, the Pokemon battling in this area, cities were not developed. So it takes place during like that era, much in the past. So your goal is just to go around and capture all the Pokemon to make the national dex. Now, I really love how this game looks. I love seeing how the mechanics of this game works. And I would be more excited to play this game. Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't fit with the Pokemon style. And I thought the exact same way. Well, for me personally, the reason why I don't like it is because every Pokemon game I play, I mean, there are some friends that I have who go on Legend of Arceus. Yes, that's the game. So there are a few friends I have that do trades and stuff on other games to build up the entire deck, national deck for every Pokemon and everything and whatnot. I am not that type of person. I could care less about catching every Pokemon, building up the entire decks. I don't care about that. That's why I lost interest in Legend of Arceus, because even though the graphics look amazing, the style, its gameplay looks cool, its mechanics look awesome, the idea that the entire main game's plot is built around building up a national dex, meaning going out, finding Pokemon, catching all of them, I lost interest in that game right away, which is really unfortunate because it's a really cool looking game and I can imagine it being really good. I just don't like the idea that the whole game revolves around you building up a national dex, because that's never been my favorite thing in Pokemon games, so I lost interest in that game really quick. What do you mean it sounds perfect? I understand if people who enjoy building the national dex would want to do that game. I can understand that because I have a friend who would love to play that game because he likes building the national dex for all the Pokemon games he plays. So I understand if other people enjoy the game for that reason, but I do not enjoy the game for that reason, so I will probably never play it. So back to talking about the Sith Temple to sort of also wrap up this stream. I only did the decks for the special Pokeball themed you get for it. I don't know about a lot of Pokemon events or anything that happens. I mean, I do upkeep with things Pokemon related, but as far as like specific events and everything, I don't keep up with that stuff. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. You would much rather have a fun story. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I kind of would too. I would much rather replay the entirety of Heart Gold, which technically I did do. But the reason why I say that as like a bad thing is because I had so much of my favorite Pokemons on Heart Gold, and it would be a pain, which technically I did reset it anyways. Um, the tagline is gotta catch 'em all. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, and that's like the whole gimmick ever since the beginning. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. But again, I've been more interested in the Pokemon battles, enjoying building a team with what I can find, sort of in a way of like survival. I know that's not correct, but that's the way I see it. And I've never been the person who's like, I want to catch them all. I'm the person like, I want to battle them all. I don't care about catching. I just want to beat everything up. So, in a Pokemon game. So I'm building the decks has never Pokemon decks has never been interesting for me. So I guess we'll wrap up. Hmm? Most of the modern Pokemon games have an awful story. I do agree with you there. Pokemon Sword and Shield, ever since the beginning, even the idea of just Gigamaxing, Gigantamaxing, whatever, even that just sort of turned me off from that whole Pokemon story to begin with. I didn't enjoy that to begin with. I played Pokemon Sword, so playing through all of Pokemon Sword, it was kind of boring, if I'm being honest. The story was good, and I enjoyed some of the new Pokemon they added, but ultimately, I didn't have as much fun with it as I thought I was going to have. The graphics look cool, and the idea of being able to see roaming Pokemon is really cool. But in the end, it's really just I'm more enveloped with a game via its plot, its story, and its mechanics. Overall, the mechanics are still reminiscent to an original Pokemon game with some extra spice thrown in there, which I really enjoy, but the plot just isn't is not that interesting to me. I like using broken stats to destroy gyms. Have you ever played with with like ROMs? I know like a lot of I know some PokeTubers talk about this, and I'm sure a lot of them do that too, where they play with ROMs, where it's like a randomizer. Which okay, something I did try to do with one of my friends was play. I tried doing a Nuzlocke, which I want to try to do a good Nuzlocke because now, ever since playing Pokemon Sword, this is one thing I'll give Sword. Pokemon Sword helped me with understanding teams because I've known Pokemon for like at that time, I've been playing Pokemon for like 17 years. But during this 18th year of my life, I now understand how to build Pokemon teams because I always enjoyed building thematic teams, if you understand what I mean by that. But now I understand what it means to build a good Pokemon team. The graphics in Sword and Shield look awful. I mean, I guess it depends on which version you buy. Personally, I didn't think that they were that bad. But again, I didn't like the plot. The mechanics were fine. I just didn't like the plot very much. Which I gotta say something about one of the new reboots. I don't know if people hate it. I don't know if people like it. I seen a few hate for it. Also, if you buy the DLC, you can get most legendaries before Gym 1. Me, they listen to you. Well, I mean, I seen Juno. I was around. I think. Yeah. So I'm trying. I'm just trying to wrap my head around to remember everything. So I watched both live streams of a few YouTubers. One of my friends live streamed the DLC, and we made a bunch of Zapdos jokes and me saying that I'm gonna give up my Gengar over and over, even though it was already long over joke. And I watched Juno Song's live stream of him playing the DLC. So, if I mean, I haven't played the DLC for myself, so I can't really criticize about what I enjoyed or didn't like about the DLC. Well, actually, the Legendary of the Snow or Winter, whatever DLC, I didn't like that Pokemon. It was just way too weird for me. I didn't enjoy that one. I mean, the idea that you can catch all the legendaries before the first gym, that is pretty cool. I will admit that. But again, I don't really care about catching all the legendaries. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, I know you would probably want to catch legendaries, but from what I've been drilled into my brain by my friends, you shouldn't. Okay, whatever. It's really confusing to talk about, and I don't have all my thoughts wrapped around it to really make a concrete statement about it. So, I feel like Pokemon games get easier and easier. Well, I mean, that can be said for a lot of Nintendo's most recent games. Well, okay, like I was trying to say before, excuse me. So, what I was trying to say before, one of the newer, besides the one that we already talked about, one of the newer Pokemon games that they were making was the remake of, like, sorry, there's a lot of fly in my throat. That one of the newer Pokemon games was a reboot of, I think it was Diamond and Pearl, or Platinum or something. And it's probably similar. I've only played the game like once, and I barely remember. I'm sorry, there's a lot of phlegm in my throat. Sorry, that was really disgusting. The reboot's graphics look terrible, and I've seen other people talk about it too. Pay to win. Well, yeah, it's like on the topic of what I was talking about, or trying to get to before phlegm got stuck in my throat, of talking about a lot of Nintendo's most recent games have been a little bit more easy. For example, Kirby Superstar Allies, and I've seen people talk about this before, that Kirby Superstar Allies, for all its fun qualities, it's just a really easy game. Void Termina, for as cool of a final boss that is, in the end, it's just sort of really easy to beat. You don't really have to beat it with that much effort. Diamond and Pearl remakes, yeah, I thought so. And I seen other people talk about the Diamond and Pearl remakes, specifically the graphics, and I agree with them with the fact that I don't like how the graphics look. I mean, I understand that they were trying to go, well, it was a completely different company, was it? I remember my friend talking about that. Like, it wasn't, there was some company that works, along Nintendo's line that makes these games to begin with, but I think a different company entirely was making the remake for this game. And it was supposed to be obviously similar to how the original of Diamond and Pearl was, in the same style, top-down perspective. But I have to say, why did they have to do it like this? The graphics look terrible. I don't like them. I mean, I'm sure the gameplay is fine, but I don't like how the graphics look. They look awful. On the overworld, I mean, I haven't seen too much. The chibi style looks fine. Uh, I mean, agree to disagree, because I don't like how they look. And I've seen a lot of PokeTubers talking about that as well. Specifically the graphics. Well, I mean, I've seen a mixed crowd. Some people enjoyed it, some people didn't. Personally, I don't like it. I mean, again, I'm sure the gameplay of it is perfectly fine, and I would play the game. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't play the game purely because of how the graphics look. I would play the game, but I don't know. The graphics just are a little weird to me. Again, I know they wanted to be the reminiscent of how the old style was, that top-down perspective of how some of the other older Pokemon games were. Red, Blue, the originals of Ruby and Sapphire, Black and White. Uh, so I understand they would, again, why did they have to do it in like this though? I don't like how I mean, I don't know what Nintendo paid this other company who has made this new game to make this, or if they were supplying on their own. It's a lot to go over. Nintendo has its ups and downs. But Nintendo, if you're willing to sponsor me, I won't say anything bad about you. I mean, my door is wide open. Raid Shadow Legends has not sponsored me, so I would be more than happy. Yeah, sorry. It's what the originals were like, and it's what was in the first six gens. Yeah, which I think it's really cool that they wanted to go with that style. And I mean, overall, if I'm gonna try to push aside my feelings about how bad I think the graphics are in in those remakes, to say this, I am impressed with their commitment to the top-down perspective of how the originals were like. And that's something that I really enjoyed. The 3D aspect, like, it's really cool that a lot of the Nintendo games have a 3D aspect. Pokemon Sword's 3D aspect, it's fine. Sun and Moon's aspect is sort of similar, but a little different. But in the end, I would much rather prefer, and it's funny because I grew up in the generation where me playing Pokemon games were in the top-down perspective as well, but I was more inclined with the 3D aspect of a lot of the games, Pokemon games. So I really enjoyed the 3D games. However, I would much rather prefer how the originals were with that top-down perspective. I think those are really good. So I'm glad that the remakes committed to the original and didn't just make it a 3D remake, and they did it to how the originals were with the top-down perspective. If I had to say anything good about it, I mean, again, I'm pretty sure the gameplay is fine, and I would play it. If there's one thing good to say about the graphics, I would say that, again, the top-down perspective, I'm glad that they committed to that. I never cared about graphics as long as you can't count how much pickles, pixels, I'm sorry, pixels there are. I mean, yeah, it's like me with cars. I know that's a weird way to put it, but it's like me with cars. A lot of people say, what kind of car is your favorite car? What vehicle would you want? My answer every time is like, I don't care as long as I can drive it, as long as it can get me get me to places. Oh no. Oh no. What happened? Is my time back? I just got a notification from YouTube Studios saying the stream will end shortly if I don't have something something. What was that? So, okay, guys, this is a warning. If for some reason the stream cuts out for any random reason, like if it stops, I just want to let you guys know, I'm probably not going to kick back up this stream because it's already over an hour, so I probably won't start up a stream again. So if it does, for some reason, go down, and I didn't do that, just know that, really sorry. Bro, YouTube, I know, right? I transferred all my Pokemon teams to the Switch, and now I can't use most of my Pokemon. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. What franchise in that I would be more inclined? Well, I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but like I said, I sort of upkeep with, or at least I try to upkeep with a lot of the things they do, like when a Pokemon game is going to be released. I mean, same thing with a lot of them, like the Zelda franchise. Uh, I'll upkeep in what Zelda games are being released on what. Uh, yeah, I guess that's really all I had to say about that. I think that's really. Oh no no no! I forgot. Sorry. I'm gonna try to end this stream on one of the last Sith Temple stories, and I'm gonna turn off that window just in case that window is the reason why everything's crashing. So on the original Sith Temple on Yavin map, before they did which again, I mean the map is fine. It's a lot bigger, but I would prefer the original Sith Temple Yavin map on Roblox. But anyways, on the original Sith, I think it was I'm pretty sure it was either on Moraban or whatever, Yavin's original map. On one of them, so I was playing a game with my cousin, because we were both interested at the time, and we were both getting busy, getting promoted from Sith Acolyte, trying to get to just regular Sith. So we were going to tryouts. Well, I'm not sorry, not tryouts. Whatever they're called. One of the ones we went into, because again, I've recently developed an addiction to chewing gum. Oh no. I do own a lot of chewing gum that I've gotten from like Christmas and birthdays that I've never even taken out of their casing. They're probably all bad by now. What flavor? What flavor of chewing gum? Is it bubble gum? Wait, no, that isn't. Okay, so trying to get back on topic. The story that'll end this stream, probably. We'll see what happens. So me and my cousin were a part of one of the tryouts to get promoted to a higher. I think it was at this point we were still on Sith slave level and we were going to Sith acolyte. No. I'm sorry, not acolyte. You go from. Well, I don't know. I forgot how the specifics were on how the rankings work in that group, but we were trying to get promoted, I think, to Sith acolyte. And again, since it's based around Star Wars, you have to know a lot of. Well, I mean, they were nice enough. They give you. You have to be. I think it was a part of the group, and they give you the questionnaire for like all the things they tell you during the tryout, so you can like memorize it, and then you can go back into the server and do it. Or you can go to the what I did, me and my cousin did when we played the game, which was we looked up all the answers on Google as fast as we could. So the answers he would go for us one at a time, but so they would whittle them down. So it would start every tryout to get to the next rank would always start with reciting the Sith code, which if you don't know the code, I guess I'll just recite it. We have to basically he says the Sith code line by line and we have to repeat it line by line, word for word. If we misspell anything, then we get a strike. 3 strikes, you're out of the tryout. So that goes for every tryout, not just upgrading to ranks. So we started with the Sith code, and the Sith code was, if I can remember it, I probably will look it up because it's actually been a while since. It's funny because that thing was drilled into my brain during the days that I played that group. So, uh, I could probably know what it is if I think hard about it, but I'm being lazy, so I'm just looking it up. So it is peace is a lie. This is the Sith code. This is what you recite every time you go into a tryout to go up a rank, which is peace is a lie, there is only passion. Through passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain power. Through power I gain victory. Through victory my chains are broken. The force shall set me free. Now there is a Jedi code as well. I won't look that one up, but there is a Jedi code as well. So you had to recite that every time. And one of the questions that they would mainly ask you, so during the time, you usually get like a lot of people, depending on the time of day, you would get a lot of people in one of these tryouts in one room. I think at max you can hold like 50 people in one tryout room. But most times we would have like 15 or 20 people. I think at minimum it was literally just me, my cousin, and like one other person. So it was just like the 3 of us doing a tryout. Um, I think I might be a Sith Lord. No, I'm not. I'm still a Sith Acolyte. I could never get to Sith Lord, unfortunately. So whenever one of the questions, so whenever they ask you questions in the general big group, so they have 3 different stages. They have 3 different stages that they go through with these specific tryouts, raising up from like Sith Slave, Sith Acolyte to Sith whatever. They have 3 different stages. The first stage is reciting the Sith code. The second stage is asking lore questions, just seeing your knowledge. And the third is the lightsaber battles. As long as you don't get 3 strikes and are out, you will rank up. So you have to, and if you fail all 3, well, the thing is, if you fail to recite the Sith code, they let you try again, but they won't give you a strike if you fail to say it another time. So, but however, in the time whenever they ask you questions about whatever, you can get multiple strikes on that, so you can lose on that. So as long as you don't get 3 strikes, you're good to move up a rank. So the questions, one of the questions that they would always ask is what's the 4th line of the Sith code, or what's the 8th line of the Sith code, and you have to recite it word for word. And it's funny because they do a lot of tricky stuff, like what's the 8th line of the Sith code? The answer to this question is there is no 8th line of the Sith code. So they do a lot of funny trick stuff like that. And one of the time, their lore questions are always the same. So if you do the tryouts enough, you'll know the answers to a lot of these, and you could just rank up easy if you do it enough times, because again, all the questions are the same. Like how many apprentices, and keep in mind the Sith Temple of Yavin is during the age of like the Eternal Empire of in the Old Republic. So they would ask you questions like how many apprentices is a Sith Lord or no, I'm sorry, an emperor is a Sith emperor is allowed to have. And during the time of the Old Republic, I think in the age, because the rule of 2 was created by Darth Bane, which is another question they ask you, who invented the rule of 2, which if you didn't know, the rule of 2 is created by Darth Bane. The rule of 2 states that there can only be one master and one apprentice. Desert level, that was replaced. Skylines. I don't know any of that. I'm not knowledgeable in other stuff. I'm only knowledgeable in a certain range of things. So try to get back to my story. Uh, so in the I'm sorry, I'm trying to go over a few of the questions so it can be entertaining. So if you don't, I'm going to repeat this anyway. So the rule of two is there can only be one master, one apprentice. The reason for this, there's two reasons. Darth Bane created it, so there's two. The master, who passes down the knowledge to his apprentice to train them to become the next Sith master. Usually this goes along the lines of specifically the Sith Emperor, because originally the Sith Emperor would gain a Padawan, no, that's that's Jedi, would gain an apprentice for the reason of them usurping the Emperor and them taking their place as Emperor. That's usually what you train a Sith apprentice to do. The Sith, the whole Sith, the point of the Sith is backstabbing. Like, that's their main strength, believe it or not, and they grow stronger for backstabbing a lot in their own group. So that's why if you watch things like the Clone Wars, or I think mainly the Clone Wars, they have a lot of Sith backstabbing. So that's how they grow stronger with their backstabbing. But so you have the master to pass down knowledge, the apprentice to gain knowledge and one day usurp your master, usually the Emperor, to gain his place. And there was a fun theory, like, because Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine, Sidious, basically, there was a theory that Vader would not be able to usurp Sidious's role. But if Luke Skywalker had became Sidious's apprentice, he could have defeated him and usurped him. So that was a fun theory that was going around. And so getting back to other thing, so that's some of the questions they ask you, like who made the rule of two, how many apprentices are you allowed to have, and again, this was placed during the time of the Eternal Empire, so that was before the rule of two was created, which is interesting that they ask you who made the rule of two if they don't follow that logic. So I think during the times of the Eternal Empire before the rule of two, you could have like, I think 12 or 6 apprentices. And one of the main reasons Darth Bane made the rule of two is because he saw that it was possible. Vader threw off the Emperor's groove. Yeah, he threw him off right down into the reactor of the Death Star. So I didn't expect this to be a Star Wars stream. So, yeah, I'm just trying to give you fun insight of some of the questions if you didn't know. Just talking about some fun lore stuff related to the Sith. So they have a lot of those questions. Oh yeah, Darth Bane, the reason why he made the rule of two, the second reason why he made the rule of two is because technically the Sith apprentices could all work together. He thought that the Sith apprentices would eventually figure out that they could work together to defeat the Emperor. And technically, so how the set works of usurping, the Emperor would get an apprentice, train them, and then the Emperor and the apprentice would fight, and if the Emperor wins, then that means the apprentice still has work to do. But if the apprentice succeeds in killing the Emperor, then they take their role. And every time the Emperor grows stronger, and the new Emperors keep growing stronger and stronger because of this. However, Darth Bane saw that if all these 12 or 6, whatever specific number that these apprentices could figure out, that if they work together, they can beat the Emperor. And with this fear in his mind, the fear of if a weaker apprentice killed the Emperor, like by some fluke, and he was weak and wasn't stronger than the Emperor to properly take the role of Emperor, then the Sith would just keep declining and declining and declining. So Darth Bane invented the rule of two, that there can only be one master and one apprentice. Laugh track. It's out of this world? Yes, indeed. So they just ask you a bunch of, there was another one, not Plagueis, they don't ask you about Plagueis. There was some other Sith lore that they talk about that I don't remember. So you go from those, so what I'm trying to do to wrap up was basically, well, I guess I'll explain the fighting, I guess. So they give you like a small stadium arena area that you can be in. They give you commands. They do, there was some other, there were 2 like Star Wars words that they use that I don't, one of them I do remember. Oh, no, this is how it works. So the duels go, which is interesting because I didn't know this, like whenever I see Dooku doing the thing, his signature thing where he puts his lightsaber in the face, he ignites it and it's like in the center of his face, that is one of the Sith's training going through lightsaber battles, which is interesting to see that callback into the Clone Wars. So, or even in the movies, technically, and I think Revenge of the Sith, he does that. So, how it works is you're giving 3 commands before you fight. You do bow. So this is like respect to your opponent. So they do bow, which is what, if you've seen Revenge of the Sith or the Clone Wars of how Dooku fights, you would see it of putting and igniting the lightsaber in front of his face. That's what bowing means. So it's bow, do the point where you have it in front of your face. The second command is ignite, which just ignite your lightsaber, and then the third command is zakut, which means fight. And then you just fight. I'm just starstruck learning so much about Star Wars. Dude, I know so much different Star Wars lore. I know about Mandalorian lore, Sith lore. I know about General Grievous's history. I found out a lot about. Which, can I just talk about Mandalorians for a second? I had no idea about this and it blew my mind. So during the early age of Mandalorian species, before it was known as a group and not a species, if you didn't know that, fun fact, basically, at the beginning times, they weren't named as Mandalorians. They were an actual species. Mandalorians came from an actual alien species that eventually grew into humans and other aliens being able to join as a Mandalorian as a group, not a species. But during the time Mandalorian was known as a species, they were traveling the galaxy because their homeworld was attacked by their enemies, and a volcano erupted that decimated a lot of their forces, so they were forced to flee the planet. So they were trying to find new homes. And this is where if you've ever seen the show Mandalorian on Disney Plus or wherever you would watch it, they mentioned the mythosaurs. This one of the jungle planets that they founded, and a lot of their group decided to stay on it and colonize it, while other Mandalorians decided to leave and find another place. In this jungle planet is where the mythosaurs used to reign, and they would kill them off for sport and whatnot. Something interesting to know. Mandalore. That was actually a really good joke. I like that one. I appreciate that one. So, this jungle planet with the mythosaurs that they were killing off, it was either that jungle planet or the next one that the other group of Mandalorians who didn't want to stay there and to colonize a different planet. The first one, yeah, no, it was that jungle planet. So the first jungle planet that they stayed on with the mythosaurs, after they killed all of them off, they colonized the planet, and eventually they sort of faded out as other groups came in and lived on that planet. Guess what that planet ended up coming, that jungle planet ended up becoming later on? The Mandalores even gave this planet a name, even though they technically founded this planet. Even though they didn't stay on it, they're not known for this planet because they decided to colonize a different planet, and some of them stayed there and died out. So Mandalorians weren't known during the age of the Galactic Republic, or even the Old Republic. They didn't know about this. Mandalorians, this jungle planet, they named the planet, they created the planet Coruscant. They founded the planet, Mandalorians founded the planet Coruscant, later homeworld of the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Council during the time of the Clone Wars. And yeah, during the early age of going into the Clone Wars. Did you know that? I didn't know that, and that blew my mind. So the next planet that they decided to colonize after that, the ones who did leave to not live on Coruscant, was they went and they founded another planet, and that planet became Mandalore. So they visited 2 planets. The rest of the Mandalores stayed on Mandalore that they founded, and time passed on. I just thought that was something interesting. I could talk more about Mandalorian lore, but I'm trying to wrap this up with a funny Sith story. I may just turn back into Mandalorian lore in just a second. I want to finish the Sith story. So during me and my cousin's training, trying to become Sith acolytes, during the second stage, whenever we were doing questions, it was funny because I think during this practice we had like 4 guys. One of them failed. I think it was the same guy who actually failed the Sith code. So reciting the Sith code. So this guy, it took a long time for him to respond to him because they give you a limited number of time to actually reply to them, and if you don't answer it in time, they strike you. If you get the answer wrong, they strike you. So he was just sitting there waiting, and he goes from person to person asking them individually. They ask him in 2 different ways. If they want to, they can ask people individually, or they will ask them as a group, like, and whoever answers first gets that point. So So much for ending at an hour. Yeah, this will probably be another 2 hour stream. so, so going in, so one of the guy who failed the Sith code, he was trying confused and his cousin Super Sith Saga plus the Emperor's minions. Yes, indeed. But like I said, I was never able to get to the rank of actual Sith. I was stuck at Sith Acolyte. I didn't even get my lightsaber. I was just stuck with a proto saber. So, come on, guys, you're interrupting me. I gotta finish this story. Well, I don't really care, to be honest. But I'm gonna try to finish the story. So, the guy who failed the Sith code and we were on the questions, this is the part when he was asking us individually, so he went down the line. Most likely because there was only 4 of us and there were still a lot of questions that he could ask. So he just did us one at a time, going down the line, one after each other, one after another. And whenever he got down, he was like right beside me. So my cousin was standing to my left. This guy was standing to my right. I'm waiting for you to finish. I have ADHD. If you guys talk in chat, I get distracted. It's okay. You guys can talk in chat. I'll just try to not look that way and answer them whenever I finish the story. So left, right. He was to my right. And whenever it timed to a question, I don't remember what the question was, but the person who was hosting that tryout to get to Sith Acolyte, he was he asked him a question, and it took him a while to respond until eventually the guy hosting the tryouts looked at him and he said, "Google boy over here taking his sweet time," which was really funny because during that same time, me and my cousin were also using Google to look up the answers for these questions. So that was just the main thing I wanted to talk about. It was really funny that he brought up Google in the Star Wars universe. Very funny joke that's not distracting in any way. Well, now I'm finished with that story. That's really all I wanted to bring up, just because I thought it was really funny. Oh yeah, I also got into a lot of trouble on purpose doing things. This was whenever it was on the Sith Temple of Moraban. So one of the classes that they have is Inquisitors, which if you've seen Star Wars Rebels or anything, you would know the Inquisitor class. The Inquisitors are Sith interrogators. Their main strengths, well, around the temple, they're known as like law enforcement in a way because they arrest people and take you to holding cells if you're doing things that are like either role play wise against the Sith or just trolling around in the server like as a player wise, and then they ban you for doing that. During the time I spent on the original planet that they had made, the Sith Temple on Moraban, I don't know what caused me to do this. For some reason, I was walking around with my lightsaber on, swinging it around, going, "My father Yoda made me do this." I don't know why I said that, and I got arrested and banned for like a few days for saying that. Or, I'm sorry, kicked, not banned. It would have been funny if they banned me, though. That would have been interesting. So those are really the main story. What? Even Star Wars can't escape Google? Yeah, unfortunate. Star Wars couldn't even escape Disney. There's no way they can escape Google. So I guess I could talk a little bit more about Mandalorian lore. That'll wrap up, I guess. I need to end the stream soon. It's already 8 and I gotta finish. Which, okay, really quick on the update on how the Hollow Knight musical bites are going. I just finished lyrics for one of them yesterday. 2 more left. So hopefully I will be able to finish one today or tomorrow. I'm hoping that I'll be able to finish all of them either this week and next week. So if I could do that, then I'll be satisfied with how the progress is going for the musical bites. So, anyways, with that out of the way, do you guys want to hear some more Mandalorian lore? I don't know. Well, there's a few things I think I could talk about that you guys would be interested in hearing. Which, oh, man, I should have put links in the description of the stream because everything that I'm telling you that I've learned come from this. I even like the video. Specifically with the Mandalorian lore, because a lot of the Sith lore I actually did learn from doing roleplays on the Sith Temple of Moraban and Yavin. So a lot of it did come from that, but I did a lot of research afterwards. So one of the things I think you would be interested in how the first Sith came to be. So I don't. This was during a much older, before even the Old Republic and the Eternal Empire. It was much older time. During the time Jedi was the main ruling power in the Force, before lightsabers were even created. Mandalore. Okay, yes, I'll give you Mandalorian lore. I have to tell you the story of the first Sith. So during the age before lightsabers even existed and Jedi only used the Force, uh, there was one Jedi who was doing unethical things. He was an alchemist. He was a Jedi alchemist, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't remember his name, but he was casted out of the Jedi Order and forced to exile the planet because of unethical things he was doing. And he ended up going to a Sith planet. And Sith at that time, again, like it was a species. Sith was a species, not a group. Like nowadays, Sith is referred to as a group. But back then, the very first Sith was a species. I think back then they weren't actually called Sith. They were called some other species, but it eventually became the Sith, I think. Or maybe they were called Sith species and they just adopted the name Sith. I don't remember exactly. But he founded this planet and found out how to, like, there's a dark way of the Force, and he developed this skill, and he became the first ruler of the Sith, using this Sith species to show him, because this Sith species knew the dark side of the Force, so they sort of showed him things, and that's how he became the first Sith ever, the Sith alchemist, being exiled by the Jedi Order because of unethical things he was doing. So Sith was a species, just like Mandalore. It started out as a species and eventually became a group, not a species. A lot of these things are very interesting. I wanted to know about Cad Bane lore. If you watched, or his history. If you watched Clone Wars, you know who I'm talking about. Cad Bane is a cool character. So going into Mandalorian lore now. One of the things I will say about Mandalorians, as amazing they were, I can't help but feel sorry for them, specifically during the age of the Galactic Republic and during, I don't think it was during the time of the Eternal Empire. I think it was a little before that. Oh, really quick to finish up what I was talking about with Sith and Jedi, something I think you guys maybe don't know. So the reason why the first saber was called a proto saber. I think that's what it was called. So the first saber was invented by the Sith. And the reason why Jedi adopted lightsabers to begin with, because you always hear Jedis are keepers of the peace, not warriors. Me being lost 90% of the time. I'm so sorry if you can't keep up with this. If I do bring it up in the next stream, I'll try to link down specific videos that I've seen talk about this in the description. They could probably explain it a bit clearer than what I can explain. I don't even know if you guys know what time place takes place during the days of the Old Republic and the Eternal Empire. I mean, during the Clone Wars, funny enough, during one of the Mandalorian episodes, they bring up the Old Republic. So the Mandalorians, so the Jedi adopted lightsabers for the reason of the Sith developed them and they were powerful weapons. So in order for the Jedi to match the Sith, they decided to uptake lightsabers as well. Which is really interesting, thinking back to something Mace Windu said, Jedi are keeper of the peace, not warriors. Yeah, that fell off their rocker as soon as they adopted lightsabers. I just want to say that. So anyways, enough making jokes about lightsabers. Talking about Mandalorians. I feel bad for Mandalorians because they were used so much. Like a lot of the lore of Mandalorians was just being used by both sides, the Jedi and the Sith, back and forth, back and forth. And so how it was, I forgot the name of one, what? I know that during the war with the Jedi, the Mandalorians used guns so the Jedi would get covered in shrapnel. Yeah. The Mandalorians had developed really powerful weapons. There was one weapon they developed, I think it was called the droid machine, I think the Dreadnought was like a ship. I wanted to say Dreadnought, but I think a Dreadnought was a ship. But there was a small droid speeder that they had, and the picture of it was insane. This weapon that the Mandalorians developed, this weapon was literally like a speeder / ship that you would ride on. It's the entire front of it is just guns, 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 guns. Its head was just a gun. It was amazing to look at. It was crazy. So Mandalorians were masters at developing, well, not masters, but they were good at developing and using weapons. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, there was some leader of the Mandalorians, and this was during the age when Mandalorians stuck together, before they spread out and created their own separate groups. I think that was more during the time, late Old Republic, early Galactic Republic, during those days. Because during the time they split up, that's whenever Clan Vizsla was created, Death Watch made, which Clan Vizsla, they were the ones who created the dark saber during the Age of the Old Republic. Which, can I just say, I'm really glad that the dark saber is in the hands of a group like Mandalorians specifically, because it makes for an interesting plot. Like, yeah, just because Jedi and Sith have lightsabers doesn't mean that other people can't use lightsabers, and that's demonstrated a lot through the Clone Wars. A lot of people, like, Ahsoka's lightsaber was stolen by some bounty hunter, and she had her lightsaber for like the longest time, using it against her. So the Mandalorians were space Americans. That's so funny because it's true. I think it's sadder because it's true. But the Mandalorians were even sadder because of how much they were used. So, anyway, so before they broke off into their different groups, I think the smallest Mandalorian group that was made was the Fett family, was the Fett group. I think their group was indeed just called the Fett clan, which developed to be the only two main Mandalorians you would know from that, which would be Boba Fett, Jango Fett. So the Fett group of Mandalorians was the smallest. Death Watch was medium. There was a few others that were created that was a bit larger. Death Watch was like the medium-sized one, but more well-known because the other Mandalorian groups died out. During this time, the Fett family sort of permanently died out. You would see Jango Fett, Boba Fett, but the official Fett group that they had made sort of died out. All their group members gone. So Death Watch was the only one that really stood tall above all Mandalorians during the Age of the Clone Wars. I forgot the leader of the Mandalorians. So again, this is during the age where Mandalorians didn't spread out to other groups. They were one group, and they all followed one Mandalorian leader. So there was some Mandalorian leader who wanted to assist the Jedi. So Mandalorians had worked for the Jedi during this time to help battle against the Sith, and it helped them a lot during the time. And this is how back and forth their relationship was. First, it started off with so the leader, I forgot how the leader died, but the Mandalorians sort of lost a leader, so they were all over the place. But the Sith, they found a Colosseum with a Mandalorian. I don't know if he was actually a Mandalorian. I don't remember what they said specifically about it, but it was some guy with a Mandalorian mask, and he was in like a big Colosseum. I think it was on Geonosis, and he was a gladiator. He fought. He didn't know how to lead. But the Sith, they found him. I don't remember if they used mind trick on him or if they convinced him with some other means. But they told him, if we do this for you, we can do this for you. But in return, you become the leader of the Mandalorians who now work for us. So I forgot what Sith emperor or lord who existed during this time. But he made this deal with him. He accepted. He got what he wanted, and in exchange, he became the leader of Mandalorians who worked for the Sith. So the Mandalorians went from working for the Jedi, working for the Sith. And the Sith used it during this time to use the Mandalorians to see just how strong the Jedi's defenses were during this time. So they attacked Coruscant during this period to see how good their defenses of protecting the planet was. They were just using them as guinea pigs, as test subjects. Most of them were wiped out instantly. And I don't remember how that leader died, but there was another one, Mandalore the Peacekeeper or something like that, who once again went from the Sith to the Jedi. And eventually, after that, there was nothing interesting. I think during this period, whenever the Sith were when the Gladiator Mandalorian was leading the Mandalorians during this age, I think that's what it was called, the Great War, the Great Surge, something like that. It's basically a time that represented a great war between Jedi and Mandalorians, and that was all because of the Sith. I think they bring it up once in Clone Wars, but that was a big period. So after that died, Mandalore the Peacekeeper, I think that was his name, surfaced, and he sided with the Jedi. There was nothing really big, or at least not to my knowledge, that happened during this period. And once again, whenever Mandalore the Peacekeeper died, another Mandalorian came up, but he didn't side with either Sith or Jedi, but the Sith had challenged him to a duel, and whoever won the duel, like, if Mandalorians won, then they didn't have to serve the Sith, but if the Sith Lord won the battle, then the Mandalorians were forced to serve the Sith, and I think he ended up killing that Mandalorian leader anyways, and promoted someone else to be the leader, and from that point, this Mandalorians once again switched from the Jedi to the Sith. those are the only ones that really come to my mind instantly, but those are not all the times that Mandalorians were used for both sides of the war. That's why I feel so bad for Mandalorians. They were kept getting used by both sides for different messed up things. The Jedis used them as like support soldiers, the Sith used them as guinea pigs. It was terrible. So there is one more story that I can remember in sort of vivid detail that I could talk about, then I can end the stream. Just to finish up this Star Wars stream, apparently, which is probably what I'm gonna rename this stream. So there was a Mandalorian called, I think it was called Degamal or something like that. I don't think that was his name. I think it was Degamal, something like that. So this Mandalorian was known as the mad scientist of Mandalore. And his name meant like insanity or madness or something, or unethical. I forgot what his name meant in Star Wars term, but so whatever. So this mad Mandalorian doctor, one of his main experiments that he was trying to develop was, I can't remember if this was his original project or some other Mandalorians that he was trying to adopt, taking from someone else and making that idea possible, was creating Sith warriors, Sith something warriors, which was force sensitive Mandalorians who use lightsabers. That's what this Mandalorian doctor's plan was, to make these Mandalorian warriors, or whatever, they're commando warriors. I think they were called commando warriors. So he did experiments on Jedi, and he made a lot of deal with Sith to basically, he traded I think people that the Mandalorians had captured during that time. He traded them and to get more Jedi from the Sith that they had imprisoned, so he could dissect Jedi, this Mandalorian doctor, to dissect Jedi and try to figure out force sensitivity to create these commando warriors that he wanted to make. And one of the story of him was interesting. So he stayed on Mandalore for the most part to try to figure out one of the creatures he found that were interesting. So his main goal was to either replicate force sensitivity or find a way to negate force sensitivity. And one animal or one creature he found that had the ability to negate force sensitivity, I don't remember the name, but the best way I can describe it is it looks like a combination between a pterodactyl and a mantis, a ray mantis. So it was a combination of that, and he noticed that when Jedi was trying to force push or whatever to it, it would not affect this creature at all. So he found a bunch of these creatures, he dissected them, trying to figure out if there was a way to negate force sensitivity. So this doctor was on it for the most part. But he didn't get anywhere with his experiments. He failed in creating his commando warriors. And I think one of the messed up stories with this doctor is he had a daughter, but he wanted to do more experiments to figure out force sensitivity. So what he did was he traded his daughter with the Sith in order to get more Jedi. And the most ironic part of this whole thing is that he was looking for a willing experiment, like a willing person to do tests with the Force, a live experiment, so he could figure it out. He didn't realize his daughter had the Force. I don't know where he got to what person to make a daughter who had the Force, but his daughter had the Force. And the Sith knew this, but he didn't know this, so the Sith manipulated him, thinking that it was just a regular girl, traded him, put her through the Sith slave program to make her a Sith, and he just took his Jedi and went off. And later on, I think the Sith, when she became a Sith Lord or a Darth, whatever rank she was at the time, she attacked, I think it wasn't attacking Mandalore. I think he was on a ship doing some experiments in the Outer Rim. But he was, this Sith group that she was leading, his daughter was leading, attacked this Mandalorian group, and she knew that he was there. She was looking for him for revenge. So she found him, and she was destroying the ship that he was a part of. During the comic, there was a lot of this that explains during the graphic novel part of this story, where it was following a completely different storyline that is connected with this Mandalorian doctor. It was these two Mandalorian guys who were like best friends with each other, and the Sith, I keep calling him Sith, the Mandalorian Mad Doctor, he killed one of the friends and was pretending to be him for a long generation. And it was really funny because you think that by doing that, he would make some kind of comeback later on. No. Like, literally a few weeks after they escaped, she found him again. She knew exactly that this person pretending to be this one guy was actually her father, and she just killed him. So there was, it was funny because it looked like he was had a comeback, but nope, you just got rid of him instantly. So that guy was kind of messed up for a lot of ways. And there was a Jedi. I think this is, yeah, because it was Mandalore the Conqueror, I think, during this time. I don't remember. Or Mandalore the something. Mandalore the Great, Mandalore the Conqueror. A Sith. Well, it was a Jedi who became a Sith because of what the Mandalorians did. I forgot what he did exactly. I think it was killing a bunch of Jedi. I think that was during the time of the Great War that was between Mandalorians and Jedi when the Mandalorians were being used by the Sith to test how powerful the defenses of the Jedi were. So during this Great War between them, there was a Jedi, I think Revan or something like that, and he I can't remember what happened. It was some tragic event that happened with this Jedi that made him hate Mandalorians so much. He ended up killing the leader of the Mandalorians during that time. He picked up the Mandalorian mask and wore it himself, and eventually he became a Sith. So, and his goal was to kill all Mandalorians from that point forward. And something I didn't explain, during the early age of the Mandalorians, whenever they were a species, they developed armor like the prototype Mandalorian armor during the early age, which was made out of straw, wood, basic armor. Then they developed into metals and whatnot, and then they found Beskar, which if you watch Mandalore on Disney Plus or Mandalorian on Disney Plus, whatever, you know that Beskar is a very powerful metal that not only stops blaster shots, but is strong enough to deflect a lightsaber. So they found this armor, and they found this metal, and then they took all of it, or took as much as they could to make armor with it. And you know what the funny part is? You know what the funny part is about the Beskar armor? You know how stormtroopers during the Age of the Empire really stunk? With his terrible shots and died instantly? Hello, IB Wake. What? Hello, Father's Day. Welcome to the stream. So we're just talking about Star Wars. Yeah, this stream is unfortunately about to be over. I'm so sorry. After I finish talking about Mandalorian history and stuff, this is just a Star Wars stream now. I would not be opposed to talking about Star Wars all stream. Also, you okay? You have 2 bandages on your head. Okay, so to tell the story about the reason for why I have a bandage on my head. Last night, I was trying to get my cat Toby out of my parents' room because they were trying to go to sleep. So in the attempt of trying to get my cat out of their room, he kind of nicked me good, and I got a big bloody scratch on my thumb. So with that being the case, that's why I put the bandage over my head. Bet he didn't even pay childcare. Nice message to see first thing. Yes. So explaining some of the old history of whenever Mandalorians were developing as a species, as a group, something that the leader of the Mandalorians did was they created a mask, and whoever wore this mask, they would be the Mandalorian leader. So one day, whenever Revan, so this was really interesting. So that's how they became group leaders. Whenever a Mandalorian leader would die, if they found the mask wherever they dropped it, they put it on, they would become the Mandalorian leader. Revan, I don't remember. Revan either did 2 things. The Jedi who was killing Mandalorians for revenge. So, Revan did one of 2 things. Well, no. So Revan, I remember. Revan killed one of the Mandalorians, and he wore their mask as a symbol of, like, this is what's going to happen to you. I'm going to wipe all of you out. And whenever he killed one of the leader of the Mandalorians, he found the mask. So the mask Mandalorians use, and this mask was a really old mask during this age. It was the first Mandalorian mask ever made that was made out of straw and wood. So whoever wore that mask became the new Mandalorian leader. So whenever he killed that current Mandalorian leader, he took the mask from the Mandalorian leader so there wouldn't be any more, and he buried it somewhere, and no Mandalorian was ever able to find it again. And I think it was during this time, this was during the time of late Old Republic, late Sith Empire, Eternal Empire, that since they couldn't find the mask to make leaders, I think they abandoned that whole thing, and then they came to Mandalore the Great, Mandalore the Conqueror, Mandalore the Peacekeeper, and then eventually broke off into their other groups. You gotta go? Oh, okay. Majora's Mask. Bye. It's been fun having you on stream. Have a good rest of the day. I'm glad you were able to stick around. Bye-bye. I'm gonna go get my water bottle. Good stuff. All right. So, what else Mandalore related I could talk about? I'm already going over 2 hours, so I'll probably end it. If I can't think of, if you guys have any questions or anything, well, I'm gonna try to think of one more story. If I don't, I'll just end the stream with a few questions, I guess. And a last minute announcement. I'm sorry. I mean, if you guys want to ask questions, you can. But I'm gonna try to think of one more story, and if I can, I'll tell it related to Mandalorian, and or Sith, whichever. So what would it be? There's a lot of Mandalorian lore that I went over. Well, or talk about General Grievous. I actually just recently watched the history of General Grievous and how he came to be. And I'm going to say this with confidence. General Grievous, like whenever you see him in the Clone Wars in the movie, depending on which one you watch of him, General Grievous, he's a jerk, and like you would say that about him because of how he is. And in Clone Wars, he just announces his hatred and wanting to wipe out all the Jedi. But after watching the history of how General Grievous came to be and how he is right now, or how he was to how he became General Grievous, I'm gonna say General Grievous is probably the number one most used Star Wars character. He was used, and his story is so sad. So the last story I'm gonna talk about is General Grievous. This is probably gonna be a longer one. So before Grievous was known as Grievous, I forgot his original name, but before he became Grievous, he wasn't a cyborg. He wasn't a robot. He was a different alien species, but he wasn't a cyborg robot. And he lived on this like ancient planet, and he was a leader, like a war leader, and his people, his species was being enslaved and being killed off by this other alien species that looks like bugs that were living in the space station that was right above their planet. They would come down, enslave their people, kill them. So he was leading the attack against these aliens, and this was during the time yeah, it was during this time the Galactic Republic just started out. So it was before the Clone Wars officially started. So during this time, see ya, man. I'm sorry, did that chat just come up? I think whatever. So it came to be that there was a legend told about these two warriors amongst his tribe, that it was about related to love, that there's a female warrior and a male warrior, and working together, that they are really powerful fighters. And that's what ended up happening. Grievous, before, again, I don't know his name, so I'm just going to keep referring to him as Grievous. I don't remember what he was called before Grievous, but Grievous, he found a woman who was very skilled with a rifle, and with Grievous combined with this woman, they fell in love with each other eventually, and they started working together to defeat these enemy aliens who were enslaving and wiping out their people. And together, they did an amazing job, and they kept pushing their advance and gaining victory a lot. So the legend came true with the two warriors. I forgot what the legend said specifically, but it was two warriors who were very powerful, come together, love, yada yada. So Grievous and his love just start taking out these enemies. And then this is where the Sith sort of now starts to come into play. Because it started with the banking clan, and during this age the banking clan was on the side of the Federation, which was controlled by the Sith. So I forgot what the problem was exactly, but Grievous had a contact with the banking clan, and it was some bad thing that happened, and the banking clan said that in order for him to repay his debt, he would have to work for the banking clan as like a strong arm. So that's sort of what he did. He joined up to the early age of the droid army to sort of help the banking clan with whatever. And eventually the Sith heard about him because the banking clan told them about what he was doing and how powerful he was. So the Sith met Grievous. Something happened that wasn't really important. And then later on, they meet up again via the banking clan. And whenever they got met up the second time, I think it was Sidious and Count Dooku who met him. So during this time, Sidious and Count Dooku, I think it was just Sidious or just Count Dooku. It was one of the two. So he came to meet him and talk to him about leading the droid army as like a good push against. They could help if, like, okay. So to explain the deal between whichever Dooku or Sidious or both of them, whenever they were there talking to Grievous at the time, they told him that they would help him defeat the alien species that was enslaving his people and killing off his people. They will help him beat those alien species, and in return, he would have to be a general for their droid army. He agreed because in the end, Grievous's goal was to free his people from the slavery that these aliens were absolutely destroying these species, his people. So he took the deal, and what ended up happening, Grievous, with the support of the droid army, attacked the space station of these aliens that were above their planet, and he destroyed all of them. They were all gone. And you know what the funny part is? Because someone mentioned, I think Justerman, did you mention that they were just space Americans? The Galactic Republic at this point in time sort of displays that, and I'll explain why. So whenever Grievous, with the backing of the droid army, had destroyed the alien species, killing them all, wiping them out, this is when the Galactic Republic finally gets into play. They see Grievous with the backing of the droid army killing an quote-unquote innocent alien species. So the Galactic Republic either didn't have good intelligence, or they just did not care that Grievous's people were being enslaved and torn apart. It was terrible. And then they saw Grievous as the threat during this time. So Grievous fled to his planet with the backing of the droid army, and he was getting prepared to fight, or I'm sorry, not fight, defend his planet against them, because he didn't want a confrontation with the Galactic Republic during the time. So during this time, he was getting his forces ready, and the droid army was on his planet during this time. He was getting his troops ready. He took a ship. During this time, I think Dooku and Sidious was just talking to him. They left him on the planet with a ship, and he was taking a ship to a certain area. I forgot where. I don't think it was off planet, but he took the ship and he went. Little did he know, the Sith, Dooku, and Sidious planted a bomb in that very ship, which blew it up. And the reason is to take advantage of Grievous, because Grievous, again, even though he wasn't a Jedi or a Sith, he was a very powerful warrior. And during this time, whenever his ship exploded, the Sith at the same time, or around the same time, had killed the person the woman he was in love with, and he found her body in the sea. Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that first. That happened before he got in the ship and whatever. So that happened, and he was really upset. And he knew the Sith was responsible. And for some reason, he took droids to take him out, even though the droids were on their side, whatever. So he took the droids in a ship, and he went there. They planted a bomb in a ship, which exploded and crashed. He was unconscious. He wasn't dead. And there was nothing wrong with his body. This Sidious manipulated his mind, Grievous's mind, to think that it was the Jedi who killed his love, and they were the ones responsible, and built up a great hatred for Jedi, which is why in the Clone Wars, he announces how much he hates Jedi so much, and wants to, I think, quote-unquote, rid the galaxy of this Jedi filth. It was all because of the Sith manipulated him. Even though it was the Sith who were responsible for her death, they made them believe that it was the Jedi that were responsible, with force manipulation, which was really unfortunate. And they put Grievous's body, they took his vital organs, heart, all the things, and put him in a cyborg body to quote-unquote fix his body, repair him from the damage from the crash. And again, they made him think that it was the Jedi who was responsible for making him crash. And another sad thing about this story, technically there was nothing wrong with Grievous's body. He was unconscious. His body took bad damage. He was bruised. He was bleeding. But there was nothing wrong with his body. They could have left him the way he was, took him to a medical center, and just left his body the way it was. But again, they tricked Grievous in believing it was the Jedi's fault, and they completely tore apart his body and then put him in a cyborg body. It's so terrible. And that's why I say Grievous is the most used character, because he was used in the most severest way out of any character I've seen in the Star Wars history of anything. it's a sad story because for the entire time Grievous was alive, being manipulated by the Sith, he had forever thought that it was the Jedi responsible, when literally he was around the people who was responsible for doing that to him in the first place. It is so sad. So Grievous, for all the times you see him in Clone Wars and whatever, killing Jedi, even though he's on screen, I'm like, haha, Grievous, he's a cool evil character. I can't help but, ever since I saw that video talking about Grievous's history, I can't help but just thinking about how sad and how bad Grievous has it. Because again, manipulated and used by the Sith, and it was so terrible. So anyways, there's probably a few more details in that I could have given, like, well, Dooku was the one who trained Grievous, which he mentions that. He trained Grievous in the art of how Jedi use their weapons. He would take trophies from the Jedi because of how he hated them, blah, 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 steal their lightsabers or whatnot after they killed them. So, that's... Sorry, I sort of rambled on forever. Did you know that A Hat in Time, there was a script scene where you play Mustache Girl? Really? In Zubcon Forest, there even script dialogue for the Snatcher and the scene. Really interesting. To be honest, I didn't know much about A Hat in Time. I know a lot about A Hat in Time, but I didn't know that. That was interesting. That is interesting. Okay, so we've been going over for 3 hours, and that was the final story. So this, I'm going to quickly rename this stream to the Star Wars stream, because that's basically what the majority of this was. So I'm going to rename it, and then I'm going to end off this stream. Okay, I renamed the stream. So, with that being the case, thank you all so much for being a part of this stream. I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. I don't know if I will do another early morning live stream. You'll probably be, if you're part of the Discord server, you'll be notified, letting you know that it's gonna happen. And I'll try to, I don't know if I'll do it every time, but I'll try to. Grievous, more like grieving. Oh yeah, that was the one thing that I forgot to mention about Grievous. The reason why, again, his name wasn't called Grievous before. I don't remember what his original name was, but the reason why he adopted himself the name of Grievous because he was grieving the death of his love. So that was the reason why he was called Grievous, and I think there was a legend about Grievous from his people as well, which is another reason why he adopted the name Grievous, because he was grieving over the death of his love. That's it's real, man. So I forgot about that, but thank you so much for being a part of this stream. I'm going to be ending it now. Thank you so much once again. I'll try to stream. If you're part of the stream, you don't know when it starts. Well, for my time zone at least, it starts at 6:30 a.m. So if you want to try to be a part of it, that's when I usually go live. Not when I, well, that's whenever I go live. So, once again, thank you so much for joining the stream, and I hope to see you guys in the next early morning live stream. Later, everyone.